Very interesting image ran across my timeline today, and it's something that I feel like it is needed to be discussed. This is a hypothetical situation, but this post says, "Who deserves a ring the most?" And you have Karl Malone, John Stockton, who were teammates. You have Charles Barkley, Russell Westbrook, Patrick Ewing. You have James Harden, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Allen Iverson, and then there's a player sitting in between Chris Paul and James Harden, and it says basically, "Are you missing anyone?" I've had the pleasure of seeing all these gentlemen play, and the first person that I would eliminate out of this picture would have to be Karl Malone. To me, Karl Malone is one of the most overrated basketball players of all time. Yes, I know he was good, but he was good because he played with, in my opinion, the greatest point guard of all time, which is John Stockton. And there are some things in Karl Malone's history that are very questionable and turn a lot of people off. I'm not using that to say this is the reason he doesn't deserve a ring, but he's the first person I'm going to eliminate. The second person that I will eliminate is James Harden. Um, James Harden played for my favorite basketball team, the Houston Rockets. And the whole time he was there, I kept thinking to myself, man, this guy is very similar to Tony Romo. He can do all these amazing feats in the regular season, 60 points, back-to-back games, and all of this shit. But when it comes down to the playoff, he folds. Um, so Harden will be the next person that I will eliminate. After that, I would have to go with Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash, but you have an MVP that belonged to Kobe Bryant. I'm not holding it against you. But some of your accolades should have asterisks by them. Steve Nash was a great point guard. I've always respected him, his shooting ability, him even playing on the same team with Jason Kidd, I believe, and Kevin Johnson. I think Steve Nash was a point guard on that team, if I'm correct. So yeah, Steve Nash would be eliminated, even though I love Steve Nash. The next person that I'm going to eliminate is going to be Patrick Ewing. The reason why I'm going to eliminate Patrick Ewing because simply based off the fact of how much I love Hakeem Olajuwon. If Patrick Ewing was to get a ring, he would have to have done so in the era of Hakeem Olajuwon, which would have directly affected Hakeem's legacy. So I'm going to take off Patrick Ewing. The next person that I'm going to eliminate, and this is hard. This is hard. I'm going to take away Allen Iverson. In my opinion, Allen Iverson was not a team player, and a lot of people are going to say he took one of the worst teams in the NBA Finals to the NBA Finals and where they played, the Los Angeles Lakers. But I would argue that Iverson could have had more help on his team. In my opinion, he didn't want the help. So as much as I love Iverson, as much as he changed the culture of basketball, I know I'm not gonna put him. I'm not gonna say he deserves a ring. So now we're down to three guards and a power forward. The first guard that I'm going to eliminate is Chris Paul. I love Chris Paul. I love his game. The Rockets are in need of a point guard right now, and even though I know Chris Paul just recently got cut from the Clippers, I wouldn't mind the Rockets going after him. But Chris Paul has done a lot of questionable shit over his career that has really turned me off. More specifically, punching people in a region that you shouldn't be punching people in. I think Chris Paul ego is super inflated, and he feels like whatever team he gets on, he's he's the person that has to run the team, which you can run the team on the court, but in the huddles in timeouts, like you just seem like a very annoying basketball player. So, like I said, this is my opinion. I'm taking off Chris Paul. The next guard that I'm going to take off will be Russell Westbrook. And with the last four guys, it's very hard for me to eliminate any of these guys because I feel like they out of these four guys, they all deserve a ring. I'm gonna have to take off Westbrook. Not that I want to, but I just There's a guy on this list that is definitely number one when it comes to who deserves a ring. So now we got Stockton and we got Charles Barkley. Stockton is my favorite point guard of all time. If I had to start up an NBA team, Stockton is the prototypical point guard that I want on my team. But I'm going to X him out and I'm going to say the person that deserves a ring on this list more than anybody, it has to be Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley is one of the greatest power forwards of all time, an overachiever, a guy that is nothing more than around 6'4", 6'5". Put in some great work in the NBA, was an MVP, made it to the finals where he ended up losing to Michael Jordan. It's no shame in that. I just feel like Charles Barkley is often overlooked when it comes to his contributions on the court to the game of basketball. A lot of people now know him as an analyst, but I was able to see Barkley in his prime with the Phoenix Suns. I saw him play with the Rockets, but at that point in time, he was done. The Rockets have a tendency of, in my opinion, being the NBA's retirement home. Everybody comes here when it's pretty much over. But please ignore my girl in the background. The next videos that I make, her and my daughter will not be in the background making noise. But yeah, Charles Barkley is the guy that deserves a ring over, in my opinion, over all the guys on this list. Thank you for tuning in to the microphone. I got some old stuff coming, baby.